Welcome back, everybody. In today's Jay's Plays video, we are going to be taking my Glaceon Leafeon deck from the 2008 format into 5 games. Now, I am really proud of this deck. I put a lot of time into really teching it out and everything, and it is an absolute blast to play in the 2008 format. List I covered a couple of weeks ago on the channel. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. I'll make sure to link it down below. The deck is pretty easily able to tech against whatever matchup you're expecting. Right now, there's a lot of people playing Empoleon, so it is a little bit more heavily tech towards Empoleon, playing both at Mewstar. We have that Pachirisu against the Jimmy O'Brien variation of Empoleon. But if Gardevoir starts becoming a lot more popular, it's very easy to fit something like a Muck in this deck and just kind of tweak things around as you need to, maybe a Jirachi EX. I know the Pachirisu and the 4 Windstorms seem like overkill, but in the matchups that you need them in, you really need them in. Now, full disclosure here, usually I take the first 5 games I played. I will say TCG1 gave us a lot of interesting games here. We had quite a few where we were doing some crazy mulliganing, and then we had this really weird stretch where we opened with Holen's Cast Forms 3 games in a row. I left one of those games out, and I did put 2 of them in, so you can kind of see how the deck fares with Holen's Cast Form. I will say in those 5 games, you'll see the strength of playing Holen's Cast Form, and you'll also see the weakness of playing Holen's Cast Form. Going along with that, the first 4 games I played with this list, and then in the last game, due to some of those Holen's Cast Forms openings, I switched 1 Warp Point to an Unknown Q. This does a couple of different things. If we are unlucky enough to open with the Holen's Cast Form, the Unknown Q gives us a very easy way to get it out of the active spot. Unknown Q itself is also a basic. Even though it's only 30 HP, there's not like a Uxie or anything in this format that really punishes us for opening with it. Very few decks in the format are going to be able to knock it out on the first turn of the game, and it does have a free retreat cost, which is awesome. And then lastly, it's just a good card in general in the mid stages of the game. You'll see how that helped us get out of a kind of a tough spot in that 5th game. But there's a lot of things with low retreat costs. Either we can retreat Glaceon for free, or something like a Leafeon, Claydol. We can lower that retreat cost to 1, but it'll give things like Mew, Pachirisu, and even if we open Eevee and we need something else, it'll give all those free retreat. Other than that, let's just go ahead and jump on into the games. Alright, so we start off here with a couple of mulligans. Not super common with the deck. We do play a decent number of basics. I believe it is 9 or... I think it's 10 or 11. Top deck in that Call Energy was absolutely perfect. This took this from an okay start to a really strong start. Being able to grab that, having that turn 2 Claydon, and turn 2 Claydol, and then having access to that turn 2 Glaceon. Both are going to be very strong for us. Top decking the Roseannes, even better. Only argument here is we should have Cosmic Powered first. Going for that double rainbow energy to get the knockout on it. The advantage of playing the Roseannes first was that we'd get an extra card off the Cosmic Power. I did go ahead. I went for the Roseannes. Got the turn 2 Glaceon level X. Absolutely perfect for us. Little misplay here. We went for the Avalanche. We were 10 shy of knocking out that Bronzong because we got heads on the Snow Cloak. Playing on an online program, the coding, it didn't register. I didn't think about how we coding for it because I didn't take any damage from it. So we went for Avalanche thinking we were going to get the knockout there. We should have, in fact, just went ahead and used Speed Slide and powered through that coding. Would have got a knockout on the Bronzong and been an incredibly strong position for us. He did get the Ampharos, so this is going to be a little bit tougher from us. Yeah, I think if we would have chanced the double rainbow off the Claydol and we would have got that on the first turn, I think we straight would have won the game there. And I think we would have been in a much stronger situation if we would have gone for Speed Slide on the Glaceon instead of using the Avalanche attack. We are doing a very good job here of keeping a Glaceon level X in the active spot and just taking away his Claydol option. He's not having any powers right now. Unfortunate for us, he did have a Steven's advice, so he was able to draw up to a big hand, but he wasn't able to follow up on that that Ampharos with the Scramble Energy turned off. Without using supporters, we're actually doing a pretty good job of being able to push attackers into his face. We're doing a good job of being able to set up without relying on any of the having to use like a Steven's Advice or a Celos Network or something. He does get the double rainbow, which is highly unfortunate, but we do have the double water enhance. We're going to be able to avalanche here for the knockout, and he's going to be stuck with the Claydol in the active spot. He probably doesn't play fighting energy, so even if he had a double rainbow energy, he's not going to be able to knock out the Claydol. Thanks to Espeon, we do get that Ampharos out of play, which is a major benefit for us. Ideally, he's not able to hit another one here. He's only got a 5-card hand, so at this point, we're feeling pretty good. Had a couple of rough turns at the start of the game, but being able to keep that consistent Glaceon on him and just making sure that he didn't have access to Claydol has put us in a pretty good spot here. Now, he's down to only 4 cards in hand. He has the Glaceon level X only has a retreat cost of 1. So I did go ahead and go for the Leafeon option, knowing that I'm going to be able to Leaf Guard here for the knockout and also protect the Glaceon a little bit. Along with this, I'm going to try to set up another Leafeon, another Glaceon, and have that be my final attacker here. He's able to Pain Amplifier. He didn't really get a ton of damage on it. And at this point, I'm able just to start dropping double rainbow energies. And we're going to try to run through the last couple of Pokemon here with Verdant Dance. Once again, you can see I return to playing supporters just because I know that Ampharos is out of play. My bench is not going to be taking damage from it. Verdant Force is able to Verdant Dance. TCG1 still calls it Verdant Force. But we just were able to get the energy in play and really power through what our opponent had. Very unfortunate cast form start for us here. This is always really, really, really rough for the deck. And Empoleon is about the absolute worst matchup in the world to start with the cast form. Because they can spread around it. At least if you're playing against something like Gardevoir or Leafeon Magmortar, they have to power through it. This deck is just going to try to spread around it. And even worse, we have to grab the Eevee, we have to grab the Baltoy. We do not get an energy drop here. So this is just a bad situation all around for us. Opponent goes with the Prinplup on the active spot, attaches the double rainbow. Now he does go for the knockout on the Holin's cast form here. Now, I'm going to say, I think in a lot of situations, people are just going to call this a misplay. Arguably, the correct play was reverse the Prinplups. The one that he evolved on the bench should be the one that he evolved on the active, and then he should just Aqua Shower, and then on the following turn try to Brine. Now, you could either hold the double rainbow if you didn't have a water, you'd still be able to Brine for 30 on the following turn. Or you could just commit to using Aqua Shower on the active Prinplup and then attach the double rainbow to the bench. From our perspective, that's the correct play. Now, from his perspective, we don't know what's in his hand, what he has. If he's got a relatively strong hand and he thinks he can just run through us with an Empoleon, he might say, hey, I need to go aggressive here. I'm just going to try to overpower him and not let him set up. I think if he's got a dead hand, he might say, hey, I need to start drawing prize cards. I need to try to get something out of there. I've got to take that risk. Worst case scenario for him is he gets punished with Leafeon Scramble, which is what we have. But from his standpoint, depending on his hand strength, he's got the Cessation Crystal, so he's not too worried about Claydol. He knows our options are going to be pretty limited. He's going to just try to power through us. Generally, like I said, this is not the strategy you want to take with Empoleon, but depending on what he had in his hand and how his hand strength was, he might have been making the best play, or what he thought was the best play for his current situation. Goes ahead, takes the knockout. We'll have the Leafeon Scramble. We do not have an answer to that Cessation Crystal, but with our hand and what we have, I'm feeling pretty confident that we're just going to be able to power through it, so I'm not too worried about it right now. Typically, the version of Empoleon that plays Cessation Crystal does not play ER2, and even if he had the ER2, we'd still have the second scramble. Going for the washover doesn't even hurt us because of the Leaf Guard and the resistance and the double rainbow damage. So this is a massive loss for the opponent. I think at this point, I don't know what he plays in his list. If he played a Chatot, there'd be a strong argument to retreat to the Chatot. We go ahead, throw the grass energy onto the Leafeon. We know this is going to have to happen at some point because we're getting our scramble energy turned off. So we can either just attach to the Leafeon to be able to Leaf Guard, or if we have the level X, then we're all ready to go. At this point, the opponent plays a Warp Point. They do have the Chatot. I would have liked to have seen this the turn before from them, but I think they just felt like they had a dominant board state, and they really wanted to just try to push the pace of the game. Thankfully, Leaf Guard is a pretty open attack, only requiring 1 grass and then 2 colorless. We're going to be able to fill that with the water and scramble. We're going to go out Leaf Guard here again for 60. And at this point, I'm feeling pretty confident. We've got a Leafeon, and our board doesn't have a whole lot of damage on it, so I'm just going to really focus on just getting as many energy in play as possible, and just really trying to get to the point where we're just one-shotting things with Leafeon. We've already got a huge lead. We want to just keep pushing it. We've got, with the Leafeon level X, with that resistance, he's going to have an incredibly hard time trying to one-shot a Leafeon X, even with Surf together. So we go ahead. We're gonna try to start building a Glaceon on the bench, but opponent kind of saw the way the game was going and went ahead and scooped there. Knowing that even if he was able to knock out the Leafeon, we'd have another threat ready at that time, and he'd have a hard time setting up. We took 3 mulligans. I don't know why we mulligan so much with this deck. I honestly think this is more of a TCG1 randomness than an actual I don't know. I don't think we should mulligan as much as we ended up doing in these 5 games, but it is what it is here. We're playing against a Hooded Man. He always plays some crazy stuff, has come up with some pretty crazy stuff. He was the one that came up with the Rhyperior mill deck. So at this point in the game, I'm actually not entirely sure what all of his cards do. So which worries me even more. We find out the Weezing, I believe the Weezing does double poison damage, and then the Toxicroak poisons, the hits for 20, and is a 50-50 shot of paralysis. Now that might not seem like much, but when you're taking 20 damage for the attack, and then 20 damage between turns, and then they get a flip for paralysis, for 1 psychic, I hit you for 60, and I flip a coin for paralysis, is pretty darn good. At this point, I know he's not going to one-shot me, so my strategy is just to try to run through it with Leafeon, try to get as many energy in play as possible. The Leafeon level X is actually shut off there by the poison. Little questionable wasting a warp point there against this deck, but I wanted to get the double Leafeon in play and then really just start accelerating energy. At this point, we're at such a strong spot, and we're going to get ahead in prizes. I feel like even with some bad paralysis flips, we should be far enough ahead where we're going to be all right. I benched the Chatot here only because I feel confident he doesn't play Dusknoir, and I also want somebody to send up in case he has a warp point. So, while even though I'm feeling pretty good in this situation, I don't want to get cocky because if he went on a good string of paralysis flips or something, could be bad for me. I also realize there's a decent chance he probably plays like a Crystal Beach, so I don't want to completely discard the Windstorms, but I definitely do want to. I definitely don't want to like. I might need him at some point in the game. I feel he probably doesn't play Cessation Crystal because he plays Claydol and Weezing, but you never know. So I'm going to go ahead and retreat here, try to preserve that Leafeon X, preserve my energy. Going to go ahead, go down to 3 prizes. Pretty good lead for us at this point. Once again, I'm feeling pretty confident, but I don't want some bad flips to ruin my game here. I realize at this point that Glaceon X might even be a viable option. Yep, we do hit the Premier Ball. We're going to play that proactively to get the Glaceon X. We get the head, so we're going to get some nice spread damage in. maybe at some point we'll be able to take a knockout with Leaf Guard. Oh, he gets Paralysis Flip on us again. I'm going to do Call Energy mainly just to check my deck, not that I feel like I really, really need it. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good because I feel like each of the Leafeons should guarantee me one prize each, and we should be all right. I'm going to send up the Leafeon with 100 just in case he plays something kind of surprising to get that last 10 damage in. Don't value the Glaceon line too high. I know I've got another one in the deck. And then I'm just going to start using those energy forcings to get those cards out of my hand. Maybe at some point we'll get a Cosmic Power off here. And then we're going to take the knockout with the Leafeon. At this point, feeling pretty good. I don't think he can deal with both Leafeons at the same time. The other one's going to be able to come up and get the knockout. Honestly, cool deck. We got a really good start, but that game could have gone differently if he would have got some heads, got some heads that he needed. It's a deck that's going to be very strong against Gardevoir. Once again, we get the Holin's Cast form against Empoleon. This is just so unfortunate for us. We do have the Warp Point here, which helps a little bit. We're going to have the Mew also. I don't want to telegraph too much, so I'm going to play the Warp Point before I get the Roseanne's, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for Water Baltoy. And then we're going to try to start spreading to the Piplups. This could go a couple of different ways, depending on what he has. And to be blunt, this is just a crazy string of luck. He has the Claydol, the Moonlight, the Stevens, and the turn to Empoleon. Absolutely crazy string of luck, but it does happen. You can't complain. He's going to come up, get the Dual Splash off. So there's a couple of different things I'm thinking, especially with that Scramble. Part of me wants to force him to take a knockout on something here. I'm a little iffy on benching an Eevee. My fear would be that he would just start dual splashing it, and I didn't even have one to get into play here. He goes super aggressive. He's actually going to go for the Surf Together here. Generally, I'm going to say this is not a great play, but I think what makes it a good play here is the fact that he's going to be able to... he's going to guarantee... I've already played a Warp Point. I'm not going to be able to do anything to him on the following turn, just because I wasn't really able to represent any sort of board. Argument here is I should have attached the energy to the cast form, knowing that I would be able to scramble whatever I had on the next turn. Ideally, we find like a Leafeon or something. We come up and go Leaf Guard. Yeah. Hand isn't bad. I don't bench the second Eevee because I don't want him to go dual splash, and just hit both the Eevees. Gets two more Piplups. I honestly don't think the Empoleon matchup is horrible. I think it's just incredibly rough when you don't have when you start the Holin's Cast form and they get turn 2 dual splash along with a Claydol. Once again, not complaining on his about it because it's certainly something that can happen in the course of the game, but it makes the matchup considerably tougher. We're playing the stage 1 deck. We're supposed to be the ones that are being aggressive, and when the opponent's the one putting the pressure on us, definitely going to make for a tougher game. Alright, so he goes ahead and dual splashes here. That one I'm not sure I agree with. I think he wanted to avoid the Glaceon X. He wanted to avoid like the Scramble knockout. Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about that. We're going to go ahead, go for the Leafeon here. Board state is not favoring us, but ironically, prizes we're staying pretty close with him on. It's to the point where it's so bad we even have to, the Scramble gets turned off. He gets ER2 heads, strong heads for him, very strong heads. We got through, is that 2 Empoleons already? No, really? 2? All right. He goes ahead, does the coding, doesn't get a whole lot off of it. I think we were looking for the scramble here. We gambled on it, maybe we shouldn't have. Debate the Leafeon X. This is also, I think, I just know that I'm not going to get anywhere with the doing the Leaf Guard for 20 is not even going to do damage to him thanks to coding, so I know I'm not going to get anywhere. I go ahead and Leaf Guard here. No one will probably get the Verdant Dance off on the following turn. Yeah, it's rough. It's gonna be rough here. He's got that Holin's Cast form prize at any point. Opponent played the matchup very well. Game plan for us. The warp point seems a little unusual here. I mean, I would almost think you just want to keep putting that pressure on, but I can see where Dual Splash would be good here too. Yeah, I guess coding hits for what's that? 30, 40 with the yeah, he's not gonna get anything with the coding. Yeah, I can see where the Dual Splash is better. Um, I think he's valuing Claydol far higher than I am. I'd probably just put the 30 on the Leafeon. But you know, we're arguing semantics at this point. He's so far ahead. We're definitely keeping the prizes close, but we're not going to be close enough to actually really threaten him. I think yeah, he just takes the two prizes with Dual Splash. Don't blame him on that at all. Yeah, a little bit quicker of a start. I think we had a shot, but we just played a little bit too far behind. We do get the knockout on the Empoleon. He's going to have the Bronzong here. The Infernape's kind of an unusual tech. It's going to win him the game here, but I feel like he was ahead in this matchup anyways. Goes ahead, does go. We're going to get the EV start here. Get the call energy. Definitely what we want to see. Nothing really you can do better than this. Yep, top deck the Claydol even. This is one of those games where it's just everything's coming up our way. Turn 2 Glaceon, double rainbow, 50 damage. Turn 2 Claydol, set up a Leafeon. We're going to be able to do that ideal Glaceon opening, transition into a Leafeon, ideally get some avalanche damage spread. Now, part of me really wants to go for the Holin's Cast form here, really go for that extra bench, 50-50 bench damage. At the same time, too, though, I'm trying to play a smart long game, and I know the difference between 20 and 10 is going to be pretty minor in a lot of these situations. Yeah, maybe. Other nice thing for us is he actually hasn't been able to, um, hasn't really gotten anywhere. He hasn't really been able to do a whole lot. So that unknown Q, he doesn't get the Ampharos in play early. Very slow start, fortunately for us. We get to show the strength of that unknown Q here and the strength of that Holin's Cast form. Both can be kind of weak openers, but unknown Q is not too bad of an opener, but definitely showing some strength here. Yeah, Nino's a fantastic player. It was just a situation where we got an unbelievably good opening hand, and we were able just to get a really quick opening. Nino has a great deck. He's a great player, but he's got to hit that early Ampharos, and if he's not able to hit that early Ampharos before we're set up, he's just not going to have the bench damage or the damage that he needs to kind of carry him into the late game. There's also a couple of turns where if he would have had Scramble Energy, he could have made the game a lot more interesting. But he whiffed those Scramble Energies as well. But we get these games as well. Just like you get the Holin's Cast form, no energy opening against a Empoleon deck, you also get the turn 2 Glaceon, turn 2 Claydol, turn 2 Leafeon openings against an Ampharos Bronzong deck. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Right now, this is my favorite way to play an EV Evolution deck in the 2008 format. But other than that, I hope to see you in the next video.